fighting game players are eating right now. Street Fighter 6 has been out for a little more than 2 months. Mortal Kombat's coming out in less than a month. Guilty Gear just got their Season 3 update. Tekken 8 just got a release date. And so much more. And you want to get in on the action. The problem is, you've never played a fighting game. But you want to. Because let's face it, fighting games are so hype.
Nice. Oh, into Tiger stance. Yep. Nice. Trade low. This is a much better round for victory. Uh-oh. Maybe I spoke too soon here.
Yeah, and we're not going to get the... Yeah.
Oh, the low pro. We might get it back. We might get it.
It's a side...
Hang on a second.
It's a bit of a weird axis though, but this might be dead.
Rage on. Oh my god.
Bro, the damage! I told you.
Clip that. I don't care where you're watching from. Clip that. That was bananas.
Without further ado, here are 6 beginner-friendly tips to get you into the swing of things. Wait, from an FPS player? Yo, bro, I think something's wrong with the script. Why are we taking fighting game advice from an FPS player? Hey, you gotta practice what you preach, right? For the past 6 months, I've actually taken a break from FPSs and took the time to learn fighting games. From the beginning of what game do I want to play, how do I want to play, to taking the time to learn, research, lab, all that good stuff to give y'all these 6 tips. So without further ado, like, comment, subscribe, and let's get into the video, man. Let's learn some fighting games.
Choose your fighter.
Now it sounds kind of ridiculous that the first tip to getting into fighting games would be to pick a fighting game, but it's honestly a lot harder than you think. A lot of these games play very similar fundamentally, with very minute differences that make each game unique. Think of it like boxing versus MMA. They're both fighting sports at the end of the day, but there are some moves in MMA fighting that if you tried it in boxing, you'd most likely get disqualified for. Similar idea applies in fighting games. Tekken is a 3D fighter, so you're allowed to step forward and backwards to dodge attacks. You play a game like Street Fighter that's 2D, you don't have access to that options. You gotta find a different way to dodge an attack. In most fighting games, if you want to block an attack, you hold backwards or down and back to block a low attack. In Mortal Kombat, you have a button specifically for blocking. If you don't press the button, you're not blocking an attack. Well, with all these different fighting games, how do we decide on just one? Because the last thing you want to do is waste your $60 precious on a game that you don't like. Well, for starters, you got EVO. EVO is the biggest fighting game tournament of all time. It just ended about 2 to 3 weeks ago, and all of the top 6 matches for all of the fighting games they had on their lineup are available on YouTube. Easiest way to start, look through the games and find what game piques your interest the most. Alright, I'm assuming by now you found the game that you want to play and have bought it. Let's actually get down to business. Now we actually
Choose your fighter.
Alright, I finally found my game. Time to pick a character. Oh my god. Why are there so many characters? Don't worry, this is the fun part. Well, at least it should be. As you can see, there's a lot of characters to pick from. So where do you start? Most people will take to the internet and look up what's called a tier list. Professional players giving their insight on what characters they think are good, bad, and just wouldn't be missed if they weren't in the game anymore. But at the end of the day, this is going to be the character that you're going to be dumping a decent amount of time into learning. So why not have a character that you personally enjoy? Now there are a lot of factors that go into picking a character. Maybe you saw one of their moves or a super and thought that character looks sick. Maybe you just saw the design and figured, I'd be cool playing this person. Sometimes, you might just pick them because they're hot. God damn. Hey, hold on real quick. Hey, Mom, let me talk to you real quick. In all honesty, I feel like it would be a lot better for you to pick a character that genuinely interests you, because if you take the tier list approach, you fall susceptible to patches. The dev team is consistently working behind the scenes, especially if the game is new, to keep characters fair and balanced, or as close to that as possible. The last thing you want is to pick a character just because it's top tier and then the character gets nerfed. Now you're looking for the next tier list to figure out, okay, what character is broken in this patch. Pick a character that you find fun. And if things work out, if they're in mid tier or worse, they might get a buff later on. So now you get the best of both worlds. You get to pick the character that you find fun, and they're also good. And even if your character doesn't get some crazy buff, you're still kind of at an advantage, because if you're playing online, they probably have no clue how to fight your character because they've never seen it before. Whereas if they're playing the character that's popular, you've already devised a plan on how to beat them because you see this character every other day. So you picked your game and you've decided on the character. What's next?
Focus on yourself, King.
Now I know you probably thinking, but Skull, it's an enemy right in front of me. They try to beat the brakes off me. Now not the time to focus on myself. What? Think of it like a real world street fight. Somebody just came up to you and started swinging. You have no clue what's happening, but you're now worried about your own safety. So it's time to fight. You don't know what this person is capable of. You don't know if they're drunk and just decided to start swinging. You don't know if they know some secret fighting style. You don't know if they have a weapon like a knife or a gun. You just know you're trying to protect yourself. In fighting games, it's the same exact way. You might be fighting somebody, you have no clue whether they spam with this character, they could be a professional with this character, they've already put the time in to master their character, and they hit you with something that all of the other people who play that same character have never pulled on you. So now the only thing you do know is how your character works. We spent that time earlier figuring out what character caught our interest. Now it's time to learn what they're capable of. Do they use mainly punches or mainly kicks? Do they like to grab a lot? Do they like to keep the opponent away from them? Or do you like getting up close and personal? These are all the things that you're learning while playing your character, while also understanding their toolkit. Do they have a projectile? If so, what type of projectile is it? Is it just a one-time move? Does it burn, freeze, do damage over time? Is it like a grappling hook that'll go out, and if it connects, it brings the character back to them? Does your character have any extra movement options like a teleport or a super jump or anything like? These are all the things that you're learning about your character during this training phase. And I know it's gonna get annoying the more repetitive it gets, but the internet is truly your best friend, especially if you're playing a video game that's a lot older. There are a lot of people who have already spent time learning this character to give you tips, to give you little snippets on what to do if you get caught in this situation. What is your character's best tool to get them out of that, right? The internet is going to be your best friend during these training sessions when you feel like you have reached your limit and don't know what else to do. Some things I would say to look out for when learning your character for the first time. Learn 1 to 2 good damaging combos that aren't too complex for you to figure out. These are going to be your bread and butters. Find good situational moves. If somebody's spamming a projectile on you, how do you get around that? If somebody's jumping on you, how do you stop them from getting comfortable just taking space on you? If you're a rushdown character, what are some gap closers? If you're a zoner, how are some ways to get the enemy back off of you? If you're a grappler, what are some ways to confirm a grab instead of just going straight for it and being predictable? And the last thing I would say, if you have a game that allows supers, find a way to combo into it. I know it may feel good just raw supering and praying that they press the button so you get the damage off, but there are ways to confirm into it so you get even more damage in your combos. So you found your game, you found a character that piques your interest, and you took the time to actually learn the character. Long gone are the days of button mashing and spamming. You got a couple tricks up your sleeve. Now it's time to go online. Give yourself a round of applause. No, really, give yourself a round of applause, a pat on the back. I'm really proud of you for making it this far. Most people don't even make it this far. You see how many people get online and just start spamming and praying that it works? Knowing is half the battle.
It's an evil world we live in.
Look, bro, I'm sorry. There's no way out of this. This is a canon event for every fighting game player, but it's a give and take between somebody beating the brakes off of you and you beating the brakes off of somebody else. One of my favorite sayings is that there's always somebody better and somebody worse than you. So you just got to focus on yourself. That's why that last tip was there. But this entering the gauntlet is best done when a game is new or there's a substantial enough patch that everybody's essentially relearning the game again. But the most important part about this tip is the fact that you can't really learn this from a specific person. It's about getting your hands dirty, entering the gauntlet, and adapting, gaining that situational awareness, being able to notice the gaps in your offense or your defense. Maybe you're playing a little too aggressive. Maybe you got to learn to play some more defense and play patient. Maybe you're a little too patient and you got to find gaps in their offense. So you might throw a jab in there every once in a while to see if that's an opening. And if you feel like you've gotten to a point where you've reached your peak, it might be time for you to go download some of them replays and figure out some of the mistakes that you might have made after the fact. Maybe I need to start doing this option more. Maybe I need to start doing this less. Maybe I might just need to take a break. Go watch a professional player, go watch some tournament sets where my character is involved. Find some new tricks to add to the bag. Just like in shooting games, sometimes you might just have an off day. In that case, that leads me to the next tip.
Oh no, back to the lab again. We messed up.
One of the best parts about these newer fighting games is the fact that they allow you to be in the training room while queuing for more matches. So if you're someone like me who likes to keep the action going and doesn't want that much downtime, you're still allowed to queue for matches while getting your training down. But you have to be honest with yourself. Use that time to refine your combos. Work on what you might be lacking on. If there's a certain character that stumps you in a matchup, go fight against that character or take a little bit of time in the lab to learn what that move is that might be stumping you so that you can find ways to fight it. Hopefully all the tips that I've given you so far in this video have been helpful, but we've made it to the last tip. And with that being said, throw all of the info that you just heard from me in the trash. Get rid of it. Okay, don't take that too literally, but that's the point of the tip. Take everything with a grain of salt. Even this guide shouldn't be taken as a you have to apply everything in this video in order to get good at fighting games. Think of it like training wheels on a bike. For some people, it's helpful because it keeps them stable enough to build the confidence to feel comfortable riding the bike without them. Some people are confident enough that they don't even want the training wheels. They'll just take the bike as is and go through the trials and tribulations of learning to ride that bike without it. My intent is that people who play other genres of games that are looking at this crazy lineup of fighting games coming out, they want to get involved, but they don't know where to start. This is more of an introductory guide to help them understand what they have to do if they're genuinely interested in improving. At the end of the day, it's about refining your ideal playstyle. People can give you advice all day long, but if there's an idea in your head that you want to try out, you can't expect somebody else to try your idea out for you. Hopefully this video did help in some way, shape, or form. If so, let me know in the comments, as this is my first attempt at making a guide. If you enjoyed it, like the video, go ahead, subscribe, and hit the bell if you want to see more content like this, and come through to the stream. I'll be playing video games and learning fighting games all the time. Hopefully this helped, and we'll see you in the Gauntlet if so.